Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by 8 Sleep. I've always been a pretty good sleeper. My wife so much has not been, and 8 Sleep is the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issues, or maybe it's your wife's age-old sleeping issues. The 8 Sleep Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heat and cooling tech that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. 8sleep.com/chatsports for $200 off. From Supreme Allied Commander, a $10 super thanks. All right, let me go through this here. It's a lot. Team won our championship anytime soon. So the perfect scenario happening. For all his faults, Jerry reached the mountaintop by taking risks. Jerry showed loyalty by paying and overpaying throughout the years. Steven will not take risks. Why would he when it's a perfectly working money-making machine, a machine that Jerry built by said risks from Jimmy to players to contracts? Steven is good with mediocrity. At the end of the day, the Dallas Cowboys keep bringing in billions. Steven isn't Jerry. He doesn't want to make a mark. He doesn't want to shoot for the moon. Steven wants to pay bargain bin prices and charge first-class rates. So why would Steven take any risk when the status quo continues to make Dallas the most valuable franchise in the world? Yeah. I think Supreme Allied Commander nailed it. There's a philosophical difference between Steven and Jerry, and it's Steven's philosophy that's winning right now. From Terrence Morris. Thanks. Just a $10 super thanks. I appreciate that, Terrence. You're very kind. Any super thanks you guys send in will get a shout out on the show. It can even be, you suck, and we'll still give you a shout out. It's a feature on YouTube. Super chats come in live. Super thanks on demand. Click that icon right there, that little heart with the $sign in it. Edit your message and send it in. From Scott. Need to move Tyron to left tackle. We'll try to bring in Ezra Cleveland for left guard. And first, we'll hope we can nab the Oregon center. I would be on board with this plan. I don't know how much interest Cleveland's going to generate. He went for very little at the trade deadline, so he might be a player that the league is lower on than maybe the rest of us. But sign a starting guard, draft a center. I am fully on board with that as a plan. From Johnny, who would you rather have the Cowboys picking, Curtis Jacobs or Edgerrin Cooper? That is the Penn State linebacker and the A&M linebacker. By a massive margin, I'm riding with Edgerrin Cooper. That's going to be, depending on if I ever get word of how bad the Peyton Wilson medicals are, that's going to be linebacker 1 or linebacker 2 for me. From CJ DeYoung, poised for a house win at the end of next season. Everyone's on notice, even Dak the Hack. Thanks. P.S. I care about playoff wins and championships, not regular season records. I know I'm sounding like a broken record here. I would rather start the house cleaning now or try to win the next 3 to 5 years. Well, I guess 1 to 3 to 4 to 5 years. I don't want to do the middle ground and kick the can down the road and just delay the inevitable if that's the path they're really going to pursue. Jeremy, I want to throw this out there and see what you think. Could we trade him, meaning Dak, to Atlanta for draft picks, pick up Russell Wilson for a couple million, and stack up the rest of the roster with millions and millions in savings? Could you? Yes. Does that make you any better? No. You can get some, assuming Dak's on board with the trade, he's got the no trade clause. I think if he said the Falcons are paying big money, I think he wants to be in Dallas, but if they're going to go that route, I think he'd be okay with it at that stage, at that point, just kind of move on. You could sign Russell Wilson for a couple million, but Russell Wilson's a way worse quarterback than Dak Prescott is. There's a reason why Sean Payton was so done with him this year. The raw numbers look fine. He was not doing the things Sean wanted him to do at all and couldn't do the things Sean wanted him to do. So it's not that different than that whole Andy Dalton conversation. Like, oh, don't pay Dak. Let Dalton be the quarterback and spend money elsewhere. Team's not better. And also, by the way, do we think the Cowboys would spend? They never do. They would just not restructure contracts the same way. And they wouldn't spend as much. That'd be my theory. So what do you want to do with Dak Prescott, since this is not going away in the near future, I suppose? P for pay, T for trade, or my least favorite option, R for restructure and kick the can down the road. From Chris B, we need offensive tackle, running back, DT, defensive end, corner, linebackers, ideally receiver, and we have 3 picks in the top 160 and won't do anything in free agency. This offseason's already long, and I have no faith in next year. You have to fill some needs in free agency. Maybe you sign a starting caliber linebacker, you bring back Stephon Gilmore, and you add a pass rusher veteran, and you feel a little bit better. but you have to do something, or else this is going to be really, really just not good enough. From Leroy Pearson Jr. Having a good conversation about Dak is impossible because people want him gone. That's impossible to debate the good against the bad. I would agree. It frustrates me. I think the is Dak good enough with this team convo is a very fair one to have, but it's not that different than politics. Like, you can have good political conversations and engagements and debates, etc. But then you got the far left and the far right just kind of overwhelming everything, and it just kind of ruins the whole conversation altogether. And it's not productive for anybody in the end. This Cowboys mailbag is made possible by 8 Sleep. The 8 Sleep pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. There's no better way to improve your day-to-day life than better sleep. And the easiest way to do that is with 8 Sleep's Pod 3. Start the new year right and invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. In addition to keeping you at the perfect temperature all night long, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month sleeping on the pod. So go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. From Roy Williams, sign Devin Singletary and draft Audric Estime. I know 40-yard dash was good, but he's a bigger back. Something along this line, I think actually will be the Cowboys' plan. Maybe not in the third, maybe it's in the fifth or something like that, or you get a 4th-round pick somehow. But signing a cheaper veteran back who can bring you some more juice. Singletary, I think Pollard still fits that mold if he's cheap enough. Insert all these different backs that are available, and then drafting a bigger back to pair with them, or even vice versa. I would bet that's the Cowboys' plan of attack. Clayton Lockhart. Think about John. He wants to go by Johnny Newton now, but he's listed as Jerzon. People weren't pronouncing it correctly, which I think other people were saying like Jerry Zahn and stuff like that. But it's Johnny Newton from Illinois. What would your chances of getting him if you don't go O-line in round 1? If he's there, he'll be one of my highest graded players. I love his game. He's undersized, but he's highly impactful and disruptive, and I love those types of players along the middle of my front. But you almost have to figure out your offensive line in some capacity before. That's why, in general, I would love to fill all of my needs and just go BPA after that. Steve Haley, this was a super thanks, by the way. All in. Trade a 3rd for Najee Harris. Sign in free agency. Bryce Huff for Josh Uche as pass rushers. Inside linebacker Devin Bush or Anthony Walker. Darnell Savage, Ezra Cleveland, or Isaiah Wynn. Draft JPJ or Guyton, BPA of choice in round 2. So I don't want to trade a 3rd for Najee Harris. He's not that good. He's kind of a plotter for me. But the edge rushers, yes. I don't love Devin Bush. Anthony Walker, yes. Or insert starting caliber linebacker works. Darnell Savage, I'm down to gamble. Cleveland or Wynn, I'm in. And those are all mostly affordable too. And then you get the center and you go BPA. I think this is a better plan than what the Jones boys will cook up for us. So too was Mighty Ant's better plan. He says Frankie Luvo and Danico Autry, which I would be so happy to get those 2 players. I think those are good, veteran, semi-affordable additions that would make me feel better about this defense, and I think are somewhat in the range of what the Cowboys are going to try to do. Jonah Jackson or John Runyon at guard works for me. It's fine. Keyshawn Nixon at corner, okay with it. Yosh Neiman could actually be maybe a swing tackle for you. A lot of Packers guys on there, but that's fine. In terms of big moves, they're not even that big, but they are realistic. So take inspiration from those 2. Name a or multiple free agents you would like the Dallas Cowboys to sign this offseason. Go vote or go drop those names in the comments section. TKG, Why did Tyron Smith not just retire, and who impressed you the most at the combine, like the Texas wide receiver? Should be wide receivers, because that is going to be that's A.D. Mitchell was also even maybe more impressive given his size. Brian Thomas. The Chat Sports YouTube channel, by the way, broke those all down. We had winners, losers each day. Why did he not just retire? Because he wants to keep playing and making money and go win a championship. I think Tyron Smith felt pretty good this year and didn't think he was that far away from playing well and getting some success. Doesn't want to retire, but has a figure in mind. He took a massive discount the first time. The second time, too. He took a pay cut. Wasn't going to do it the third time. From Peyton, if the Cowboys don't extend Dak, who are some first-round quarterback options next year? This is the other part of my problem. If you just run it back with Dak and you make minimal roster moves, you're still going to be a playoff team, or at least close to it, because you've been that every year he's been healthy, which is kind of unusual stability, despite the playoff disappointment there. So you're going to be in the late teens, early 20s, mid-20s. The good quarterbacks aren't going to be there, most likely. So you're kind of going to be caught in this awkward range of you have no quarterback for a playoff caliber team. Although maybe the quarterback didn't get enough credit for that. Who knows? So you're kind of going to not have a guy. Maybe you give Trey Lance a one-year shot, and then maybe you bottom out and take your first-round pick next year. So why are you waiting? I would rather blow it up now, and then you're looking at guys like still Carson Beck, I think, would probably be the consensus, if there is one, the plurality vote, QB1 right now. Shadur Sanders has talent. He needs to take a step forward. So does Quinn Ewers. There are concerns around the NFL with both of those guys, by the way, but those are probably three of the more notable prospects. Now, if you like our Cowboys mailbags, awesome. Happy to have you guys here. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now. John A. Jerry was blowing smoke up our asses with the all-in talk. He knows the fan base was upset, told us what we wanted to hear. The actions don't match their words, and I see rebuild ahead. I see an unnecessarily long rebuild. Because if you're going to rebuild, start it tomorrow. Don't delay. No benefit. It's not going to work good enough or well enough for you. The all-in talk was Jerry being Jerry because this organization at its core doesn't treat all in the same way the rest of the world does. They're sitting there at the poker table, and they go, all right, I got a 10 and a jack. I'm all in. They put down some money, and the dealer goes, that's half your pot. You're not all in. And they go, I'm all in. It's fine. I'm all in. It's not how it works. You can't change the definition of words and say, well, we have a different definition. No, you can't do that. You're saying it is water, and it is gasoline. There's water in gasoline. Doesn't make it water. That's what this team does far too often. So what is your confidence level in the Cowboys this offseason? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end or 10 on the high end. From Zaire Brown, Jerry, stop being so dang cheap. Steven, by the way. Steven. Get these contracts done. Renegotiate the contracts. Hassan Reddick, Derrick Henry, Calvin Ridley, or trade for Diggs, McLaurin. Even if they were aggressive, I don't think you're going to get Hassan Reddick from Philadelphia. I don't think you're going to get Diggs or McLaurin. Those are a little bit more unlikely. Now, you could break the bank for Henry and Ridley. I think Ridley could command $20 million this offseason because there's no good free agent receivers, and I kind of hate that idea. Joseph Ian Torres. Tom, how do you think Blake Corum tested in your opinion? Play strength was pretty impressive with not a bad but not great for to pair. What's your opinion? I thought for what I expected from Blake Corum, checked off those boxes. I mean, he was never going to be a crazy burner. The agilities, the bursts were all solid enough for what we figured he was going in. I thought he at least met those expectations, and in the end, I'm going to call that a win. I think probably to the Chargers at some point on day 2, he's going to go off the board.